Okay. Are you able to see my screen? First, whenever you start the nodes which are involved in the cluster, first you have to check the status of the three main process of cluster stack. One is CRSD, second is EVMD, third is CSSD, and fourth is HASD. Okay, so these are the four processes. You need to check whether they are up and running or not. So these are the first four processes which will be started as part of the cluster. So now to check whether they are online or not, we'll be using the command crsctl check crs. This will show you. Okay, first you need to set the environment to ASM because the cluster software is running from the ASM home, which is a grid infrastructure home. And as I already told you, whenever we have the rack cluster, the instance name will be suffixed with 1, saying that this is the first ASM instance, and on the second node I'll have the second ASM instance. Now if I do crs and crsctl check crs, this will show me the four processes which I was talking about: high availability service, cluster ready service, cluster synchronization service, and event manager. And I already told you yesterday about each of these processes. High availability service is the first process which will be started as part of the cluster, which in turn will start cluster ready service, cluster synchronization service, and event manager. And out of these three processes, cluster synchronization service is the first process which will be started. After that, event manager, and then cluster ready service. And cluster synchronization service is nothing but it will synchronize the cluster. It is responsible for the node membership, and it is also responsible for fencing out the node from the cluster. And event manager is a process which will be sending the events which are generated by the cluster process. So it will forward those events from one node to another node such that the other node will be aware of the events which are generated on the local node. And cluster ready service is a process which will take care of all the resources which are registered in the cluster. So once you have the CRS up and running, then only you can see rest of the resources in the cluster online. If the CRS, the cluster ready service, is offline, then you cannot see each and every resource of the cluster, because if the CRS is up, then only we can read the content from the OCR, and the content from the OCR will be displayed on the screen. So just make sure the CRS is up and running. Now in this case, the CRS is up and running, so we have to just issue CRS underscore stat -t, which will show you all the resources which are running. Just forget about the GST. This will be offline because we haven't configured the GST. As I already told you, the scan IPs can be configured using grid naming service, grid service, or DNS service. We can configure the scan IPs using grid naming service or DNS. We configure the scan using DNS, so we are not using GST, and that is the reason why the GST resource is offline. So you can just forget about this GST, and rest of the resources are online. So you'll have the same resources running on node 1 as well as on node 2, except the scan. So two of the scans will be running on one node, and the third scan will be running on the second node. And let us go into our ASM SQL plus /SysDBA. Select. Can you give me the view which will show me the information about the disk groups? Hello? That will give me the information about the disks. I'm talking about the disk group. $asm underscore disk group is a view which will give us the information about the disk groups. Select name total underscore MB by 1024 from $asm underscore disk group. So we have one disk group here, dg underscore cluster, and the total size of this disk group is 1 GB. Let us go ahead and create the additional disk groups which are required for us in order to store the database files. So what I'll do is, like, I have 5 disks, 4 of 2 GB and 1 of 1 GB. So this disk, I'll be creating a disk group with the name dg underscore redo, and I'll be using it for redo log files and control files. Out of this 4, 2 of 2 GB, I'll be using it to create a disk group called as dg underscore data, and I'll be storing the data files. Next 2 of 2 GB, I'll be using to create the disk group with the name dg underscore arch, and I'll be using it for the arcalog destination. So can you name the configuration assistant which will allow me to create the disk group? By using which utility I can create disk groups on ASM? Which utility can be used to create ASM disk groups? Are you able to hear me? ASM CMD use CC, I can create a disk group. Okay. Can you give me the command which can be used to create the disk group using ASM CMD? As far as I know, ASM CMD can be used to traverse or to look at the files which are present in the disk group, and also to get the information about the disk groups. But what I'm talking about is which utility can be used to create the disk groups. ASM CMD is nothing but it's a command line utility which will allow us to traverse the ASM disk group and to check what are the files present in ASM disk group. If I do lsdg command, this will give me the disk group which we created, which is dg underscore cluster, and it will give me the total size of the disk group and how much it is used and how much is free. There is no way I can create disk groups using ASM CMD utility. So what is the utility which can be used to create the disk groups? When we did for standalone, we created disk groups, right? Using which utility we created the disk groups? I showed you 2 ways using which we can create the disk groups. Using ASMCA, which stands for ASM Configuration Assistant. Using this utility, we can configure or we can create ASM disk groups. I'm not sure whether you guys are practicing on ASM or not, but 99% of the databases in the real time will be on ASM. It will not be on local file system. So getting familiarized with ASM will fetch you. Okay. So now we can click on the create button to create a new disk group. Okay. Here you can see the disk names and the size of the disk groups. So I'll name the disk group as DG underscore data. I'll go for external redundancy because I don't want the mirroring here. So I'll be selecting the two disks which will be part of this disk group DG underscore data, and then I'll click on OK. It will create the disk group DG underscore data. Okay. You can see here the state, it says mounted 2 of 2. That means both the disk groups are mounted on node 1 as well as on node 2. Because whatever the disk group I created on the node 1, it should be present on the node 2 also. So whenever I'm creating a new disk group, it will automatically be mounted on the second node also. Now click on create again. Go for DG underscore redo. Go for external redundancy. Select the one disk which is of 1 GB and click on OK. Repeat the same steps to create the third disk group, which will be DG underscore ARCH. Okay. Now have all the required disk groups. Just click on exit and click on S. And let me go into ASM CMD. Okay, so these are the 4 disk groups which we created. If I go into DJ underscore cluster, go into the protdb-scan, you can see here the OCR file. So the OCR file will be present in this location. Exit from this one. If you want to see the SP file which is used for the ASM, because ASM is also an instance, so that means it will use the SP file or P file in order to start up the instance. It needs to allocate the SGA. It also needs to start the background process. It also needs to know what is its ASM power limit and all those things. So if I want to check what is the SP file, where the SP file is present for the ASM, I'll be doing show parameter SP file. Okay, you can see here my SP file is present under DG underscore cluster protdb-scan ASM parameter file, and within the ASM parameter file I have registry dot something. So this is my SP file name. So let me exit from here again. Go to ASM CMD, CD DG underscore cluster protdb-scan ASM parameter file. You can see this SP file here. So how the SP file is linked? You can see the SP file is present in the ASM disk group. But whenever Oracle is trying to start up an instance, what is the directory it will be looking at for parameter file or SP file? whenever we start any instance, Oracle will look in which directory in order to start up the instance. So it will look at Oracle home slash DBS, right? So what is my Oracle home here? CD grid app product grid oh, CD grid app grid product grid, and under grid home I'll have the folder DBS. And what can be the file name? Any guess whether I will have a P file or SP file here? Now my question is whether I'll have a P file or SP file. I showed you how to link P file with SP file if the SP file is present in ASM. I'm not sure whether you remember it or not, but my question here is under Oracle home slash DBS, what file I can expect, whether it will be an SP file or whether it will be a P file. Yes, that is correct. So what will be my P file name here? Usually P file will be of the format init sid.ora, right? So what is my instance name? ASM1. So it will be init plus asm1.ora. So you can see I have a file called as init plus asm.ora, and this file will be pointing to the ASM disk group, or else it will be present in the cluster. So if you do srvctl config ASM, it will show you information about the ASM home and ASM listener. Okay. Okay. Now we'll be installing RDBMS binaries and we'll be creating the database. But before doing that, let me show you some of the important files related to cluster software. So like the way we have alert log trace file for the RDBMS database, we'll also have alert log and some of the trace files for clusterware, and we'll also have alert log and trace file for ASM. So let me show you how the directory structure will be for cluster log files and for the ASM log files. So first we'll look for ASM. Okay, so whenever you have ASM running on the server, you'll also have alert log related to ASM instance along with the trace files. So if you want to look at the ASM alert log, it will be present under grid base. My grid base is /oracle /app/oracle. Under base you will have DAG folder. In DAG you'll have a folder with the name ASM. Okay, now you'll have the database name and then the instance name. So it will follow this format, and here you'll have the trace folder. It is similar to our RDBMS DAG destination. The only difference is for RDBMS you'll have RDBMS here, but for ASM you'll have ASM. That is the only difference. So it will be present under grid base followed by DAG, ASM, place ASM, and then place ASM1 is the instance name followed by trace folder. Now you can see there is alert log for ASM. You already know alert log will be of the format alert underscore sid dot log. So you can see here. So when the cluster was started, it brought up the ASM and it also mounted the disk group dg underscore cluster. So if you want to look at the ASM alert log and ASM trace files, it will be present under grid base DAG ASM. Next, the alert log file related to the cluster will be present in grid home. Under grid home, you will have a folder called as log. Under log, you will have a folder with the host name. So you have to go into the host name. My host name is prod-1. Here I will have the alert log related to the cluster. So whenever the cluster is coming up, all the how the cluster is coming up, all that information will be updated in alert log file. So let me open this alert log file. So you can see here. I'm just looking at where to start. Okay, I'll do one thing. See here. So whenever it is bringing up the scan or whenever it is bringing up the CRS process, everything will be updated in the alert log. You can see here CSSD voting file is online. So it made the voting disk online by accessing the ORCL-ORCL:disk3. This is the disk which has the voting file and OCR file. And you can also see the cluster time synchronization service started. So it needs to synchronize the time between prod 1 and prod 2. So each and every information will be updated in the alert log. So this will be the directory structure. It will be present under grid home followed by log followed by host name. And if you want to look at the log files related to each and every process, it will also be present in the same directory. Under this directory, you'll have a directory name with background process name with the daemon name. So if you want to look at the output of CRSD daemon process, you can go into CRSD folder. You can see the CRSD.log file. So whatever the CRS command is trying to do, that will be registered into the CRSD folder, CRSD log file. So whenever you have any problem with the cluster, sometimes if some problem occurs, the node reboots by itself. So in order to figure out the issues, you have to look at these log files. So whenever you are doing any RAC cluster administration, these are the log files and these are the trace files you need to look into to figure out the issues. Any questions? I thought someone will ask me about init plus ASM1.ora. Usually we'll give the location of SP file in the P file, right? Whenever we have the SP file in ASM, we'll give the location of P file in the parameter file. But here, if I look at my init plus ASM1.ora, I don't have the location of SP file in that file. So if you remember, I said grid plug and play profile. Grid plug and play profile is a profile which will have the information about where the voting disk is present and where the OCR disk is present. Along with it, it will also have the location of SP file. So whenever you have the RAC cluster, you will not have the location of SP file in init place ASM1.ora. It will be present in grid plug and play profile. So cluster will read the grid plug and play profile and it will start up the ASM instance. If you look at my grid home DBS folder, I don't have any place asm1.tora file itself here. This file was created as part of my ASM creation yesterday, and this was a dummy parameter file. There is no importance for this file. And when I started up the ASM instance now, it did not read init asm.ora. What cluster did was it read the information from grit plug and play profile, and it got the location of the SP file. If you want to read the information of grit plug and play profile, you have to use a command. 1 second, give me a second, let me show you that. Okay, I forgot to start. I stopped the recording in between. Okay, so gpnp tool space get is a command which will show you the output, or which will show you the information which is present in grid plug and play profile. So it will be of XML format, and within this XML output we can see the location of SP file which is used to start the ASM instance. We can also see the cluster name. We can also see the Ethernet cards which are used for public and private. And that's what I told you yesterday. So grid plug and play profile will have the information about cluster, Ethernet interfaces, and the ASM SP file. Any questions? It will be present in the Oracle Home bin. That means grid home slash bin. All the utilities will be present in grid home slash bin. Anything else? Next, CRSETL status resource -t. If I do CRS underscore start -t, you can see the output has been suppressed. All the resource names are in the shortcut format. I don't know the full name of this resource name. So in order to get the full name format, we can go for CRSETL status resource -t. So it will distinguish the resources of prod1 and prod2. So you can see here dg underscore arch is a disk group, and it is online on prod1 as well as it is online on prod2. Listener, so it is running on prod1 as well as on prod2. ASM is also started on prod1 and prod2. GSD, grid service daemon, you don't need to worry about it. And yeah, this is one of the important thing. ACFS. ACFS is a file system which is developed by Oracle again. So the one of the problem with ASM file system is you can only store binary files, right? Can I store a text file in ASM disk group? So ASM file system is only used for storing binary files. So as a DB file, cdlog files, SP file is a binary file, we can store them on ASM disk group. But that was still 11G R1. Starting from 11G release 2, Oracle introduced another file system which is ACFS. It's nothing but ASM cluster file system. That file system can be used to store text files also. It's a general purpose file system. It can be used to store any type of file. Using ASMCA, we can create an ACFS file system, and we can use it as a mount point actually. Probably if time permits, I'll show you that also, how to create the ACFS file system. So for now, to check the status of 4 important processes, we'll be using the command CRSETL check HAS. Sorry, check CRS. And if you want to check whether HAS is online or not, we can just go for CRSETL check HAS. If you want to see the resources status, all the resource status, we'll be going for CRSETL status resource -t. Now I'll show you how to install the RDBMS binaries and how to create the database. So my RDBMS binaries are also present under /Oracle, Oracle 11 jar2 folder. Okay, let me change the permissions of these files. So I'll make it as chmod capital R 777 star /run installer. So on RAG database, you'll have two instances. For example, if I'm creating a database with the name prod, I'll have two instances, prod1 and prod2. And these two instances will share the same set of data files, control file and SP file. Redo log file will be specific to each instance. So prod1 will access its own redo log files and prod2 will access its own redo log file. But the only difference is the redo log files will be present in shared storage. So that means it will be present in the ASM disk group, but they are specific to the instance. So we'll have two specific set of redo log files for each node. If I have two instances, I will have two groups of redo log files. Groups in the sense we'll have threads here actually. So if I have two instances, I will have thread 1 and thread 2. So thread 1 will go for instance number 1 and thread 2 will go for instance number 2. Prod2 instance cannot write the redo information from redo log buffer to thread1 redo log files, and prod1 cannot write redo information from log buffer to thread2 redo log files because thread2 is specific to prod2 and thread1 is specific to prod1. But prod1 can read the information from thread1 redo log file as well as from thread2 redo log file. Same thing applies to prod2. That means prod1 and prod2 can access both the redo log groups, but the difference is they will not have the right permission to the remote thread. That means for prod2, the remote thread will be thread 1 and it will not have the write access. What it will have will be a read access. So redo log files are not shared across the instances. They are specific to the instance. Similarly, undo table space. Prod1 will have its own undo table space and prod2 will have its own undo table space. And rest of the data files, control file and SP file will be shared. Okay, so I'll be clicking on next here. I'll go for S. Here you'll have the option to install the database software only and create and configure a database. So which one you want me to go for? Software first and then the database? So first I'll be installing the software, then I'll go ahead and create a database. So I'll go for this option, click on next. Yeah, so I want to create RAG database. So I'll be selecting this option, which is real application cluster database, and I want to have the database created on prod1 and prod2. That means I will be creating a database which will be shared across prod1 and prod2. So you make sure both the checkboxes are checked and then just click on next. Okay, select the appropriate language and click on next. Here we'll go for the enterprise edition. Next. Okay, Oracle base will be Oracle app Oracle, and my Oracle home will be 1120 db underscore prod. Okay, groups will be dba. Okay, looks like my NTPD service was not started. Let us check that. Service NTPD status. This will show me whether the NTPD service is started or not. Yesterday I told you, right? This service is used to synchronize the time between prod 1 and prod 2. So let me log in as root here and let me check service NTPD status. You can see NTPD stopped, and that is the reason why I got the prerequisite there. So we need to start this service NTPD space start. I have to do the same thing on prod 2 also. Service NTPD space start, but let it start on prod 1 and then I'll go for prod 2. Okay, this is done. Okay, I'll go back to my node 1. I'll click on check again. This time we will not have that prerequisite. Yep, we are good. Just click on finish. Even this will push the binaries onto node 2. We'll get something which says remote operations after some time. And let me show you some of the commands which are used to bring up the cluster. So whenever you reboot the server, automatically the cluster will come up. But if you want to bring it manually, we'll go for CRS-CTL start CRS. So this will bring up the cluster on that node. For example, if I'm issuing CRS-CTL start CRS on prod 1, then it will bring up all the resources on prod 1 itself. That means first it will start HASD service. After that it will start CSSD, then EVMD, after that CRSD. Once it starts these services, then it will go ahead and start up the ASM, listener and disk groups. After that it will go ahead and here before starting the ASM, it will go ahead and start the scan listener. So to start the scan listener, it has to start up the scan IPs. Then it will start the virtual IPs. After that it will go for ASM, listener and the disk group. Then if you add the database into the cluster, then it will also start the database. So this is the flow in which it starts the cluster resources. So CRS-CTL start CRS will be used to start up the cluster on that specific node. If you want to start up the cluster on the second node also, you have to log into prod2 and you have to issue this command CRS-CTL start CRS. If you want to start the cluster on both the nodes, then we'll be issuing the command CRS-CTL start cluster. CRS-CTL start cluster will be used to start the resources on prod 1 as well as on prod 2. So it will bring up the resources on all the nodes. And then if you want to stop the cluster, we'll be going for CRS-CTL stop CRS, or else I will be going for CRS-CTL stop cluster. So this will bring down all the resources, and this will bring up all the resources. And in 11G R2, you cannot bring down the ASM. If you want to bring down the ASM, the only way is we need to bring down the cluster. Can you guess why we cannot bring down the ASM when the cluster is up and running? Any guess why we cannot bring down the ASM? Where OCR and ODNDs will reside? On ASM, right? So how can cluster will read that information? Cluster cannot read the information about the resources, and it cannot read the information about the health status of each and every node. So that is the reason why we cannot bring down the ASM in 11G R2 without bringing down the cluster. If you want the cluster up and running, then you have to bring up the ASM. ASM should be up and running for the cluster. So there is a dependency between cluster and ASM, and that is the reason why we cannot bring down the ASM. Next, if you want to check the status of the scan listener, and once you install this rack cluster on your laptop, and whenever you want to bring up the servers, just first start prod 1 or prod 2. Check whether it is completely up and running. Check whether all the resources are up and running or not. Then start prod 2. First start up one node, check whether all the services are up and running or not, then go for node 2. If you start both the nodes at once, you'll have some issues. SRVCTL status listener. This will show you the status of the local listener. So you can see it will give you the output saying the listener is running on prod 1 as well as on prod 2. This is information about the local listener. If you want to check the status of the scan listener, we'll be using the command srvctl status scan_listener. This will show you the scan listeners are up and running or not. You can see here listener scan 1 is running on prod 2, scan 2 and scan 3 are running on prod 1. So this command will be used to check the status of the scan listener. If you want to check the status of the scan listener using LSNRCTL, you can also do that in order to check the services. Or else you can go for SRVCTL service minus H. I'm not sure whether it's here or not. Let's check. No, just we can go for LSNRCTL status scan_listener listener_scan1 actually. This is my listener name, which is listener_scan1. Okay. Probably I'll not be able to check it out. Minus EF grep LSNR. Okay, here it is scan 2 and scan 3 are running. So I have to go for scan 2. You can see it is supporting no services because we don't have any database yet. Scan 3, it is also not supporting anything. If I go for listener, it will be supporting the ASM instance, which is used for communication between the ASM instance and the database. And you can see the ASM is running on both the hosts, 1.220 and 1.230. Do you know what is 1.230? We use 1.230 for virtual IP. Which will be used for the failure and the load balancing. Next, if you want to check the configuration of ASM, we'll be using srvctl config ASM. vctl config ASM minus I plus ASM. Not sure whether this works or not. Okay, it's not there. Just we can use srvctl config ASM, that's it. And if you want to check the status of the ASM, we can go for srvctl status ASM. You can see ASM is running on prod 1 and prod 2. If you want to stop the scan listeners, the command will be srvctl stop scan_listener. In a similar way, if you want to stop the listener, the local listener, we have to go for srvctl stop listener minus L listener name, which is listener. And if you want to go for node, that means if you want to bring down the listener of node 2, I have to specify minus N prod-2. This will bring down the listener of prod 2. In a similar way, I can give minus N prod 1 to bring down the listener of prod 1. If you don't give anything, it will just bring down the local listener. And without bringing down the cluster, if you want to stop all the resources in the cluster, that means all these resources, what is reported under CRS_stat-t. we'll go for CRS underscore stop hyphen all. This will bring down all the resources which are present in the cluster of prod1. It will be local, specific to this node. But CRS, CSSD, EVMD and HSD will be up and running. It will only bring down these resources, not CRSD, CSSD and HSD. If you want to bring down CRSD, CSS and HSD also, you have to go for CRSCTL stop CRS. Did I uncheck prod2 by any chance? Or let me check in prod2. As far as I know, it will create. We'll see. Yeah, it's going for validating the nodes of prod2. Okay. So it will go for remote operations also. And if you want to check on which on which port the scan listener is running, we can go for srvctl config scan underscore listener. This will show you the port on which the scan listener is running. So you can see here the scan listener is running on port 1521. You can also see here the local listener is also running on port 1521. But the host names are different. Here the host name is 1.220, but here the host name will be different, which is listener underscore scan1 will point to the scan IP. So as the IP addresses are different, you can have the multiple listeners running on the same port. If I go for lsnrctl status listener underscore scan1 scan2, you can see it is running on 1.212. So this host is different than the host which is used for the local listener, and that is the reason why we can have both the local listener and scan listener on the same port. Okay, now it is copying the RDBMS binaries to prod2. Okay, it occupied 3.8 GB. No. cd slash oracle slash app. I want to check how much size has been occupied by this oracle folder. Can you tell me what is the command to check the size occupied by this directory? ls minus ld slash oracle will give me the permissions assigned to oracle directory, or who is the owner of the directory. That's it. I want to know how much size has been occupied by this oracle directory. df minus h will give me the information about the mount points. I'm interested in directory, not in the mount point. This will give me the size occupied by slash oracle, but I'm interested in oracle app oracle. Why we use du command? You can see here oracle is occupied 3.7 GB. So to get the directory usage, we'll be using du command. Okay. It will take some time to push 3 GB of binaries to node 2. Okay, RDBMS installation is done. So we need to execute this script, which will add the entries into Aura tab, and also it will update the Aura inventory with the Oracle home information and all those things. So root.sh will mainly does, it will add the entry into Aura tab, and it will also add the entry into the Aura inventory. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's done. Let us do the same thing on node 2. Click on OK. Click on close. Okay. RDBMS installation is done. Let us log in as Oracle. Set the home. Do which was DBCA. No, I logged in as Oracle. It's just a root folder, but I logged in as Oracle user. Okay, so DBCA is coming from Oracle Home, so we are good. Just invoke DBCA. Office laptop on kano. Select Cloud Database option. Okay, we'll be selecting the Oracle Data Application Cluster Database. We'll click on Next. Select Create a Database. Click on Next. General Purpose. The steps will be similar. Here you'll find a little bit difference. The database name will go for prod. And we'll just click on Next. We have to select both the nodes because we are getting the database for prod 1 as well as for prod 2. So just click on Next. Uncheck this one. Use the same password. Okay. So we'll go for Oracle managed files and I'll specify the database area as DG underscore data. If you see here, the storage type will be two types. One is cluster file system, other one is ASM. You cannot have the database on local file system. The only two file systems which can be used for the database are cluster file system and ASM, and we'll be using the ASM file system. And click on multiplex read log file and control files and specify the disk groups here. So we'll go for DG underscore data and DG underscore. There's no need to specify plus. DG underscore redo. So I'll be multiplexing the read log file and control file among these two disk groups. Next. Okay. Probably have to give plus here. Let me change it out. Next. Okay. Go for flash recovery area. Give it as DG underscore ARCH and also enable the archiving. And set the size to 4 GB, 3.8 GB. It took all the space which is allocated for this disk group. So click on next. Okay. Click on the sample schemas. Click on next. SCA 1 GB is allocated. That's fine. Okay, it's 8 KB block size. We're good. Just go ahead and click on next. Just check whether the control files are getting created or not. Sorry, read log files are multiplexed among those disk groups or not. Okay. So here you can see the thread number is 1. Thread number is 1. But for group 3 and group 4, you will have the thread number as 2. So as I said, each and every node will have its own redo log files. So thread number will change. Just click on next. Create a database, click on finish. So this will create a database and it will also create 2 instances with the name prod1 and prod2. You can see it created the instance prod1. So the database name will be prod and the instance name will be prod1 and on node 2 it will be prod2. Okay, it's not created, it's not set the instance yet on prod2. So first it will finish a configuration on prod1 and then it will go for node 2. So the database creation will be same, but the only thing is like you'll have some global cluster database views. So I'll be showing you that tomorrow. There'll be some GB dollar views. So till now we saw was V dollar views, which was specific to that instance. But we'll have some additional global V dollar views, which will give you the information about node 1 as well as node 2. So in the database, you'll have additional views with prefix GB dollar. So it's almost done. Probably it may take 5 minutes. So once the database is created, we'll wind up the class and I'll continue tomorrow. I'll show you how to bring down the database. I'll show you how to bring down just one instance and how to start up one instance. And I'll show you the global V dollar views. And also I'll show you the additional background process which are involved with RAG database and how those additional background process will communicate with each other in order to provide the data integrity by transferring the blocks across the nodes. Okay. So the database creation is completed. You can see here the global database name is prod and system identifier prefix is also prod. And the SP file is located under dg underscore data prod. Just exit from here. Okay, done. So we have the database created. Okay, just specify the Oracle SID, which will be prod1. Name from $$ database. So to get the instance name, we'll be using $$ instance in standalone. But here to get the instance name, we have to go for $$ instance, which will give us the information about both the instances, prod1 as well as prod2. You can see both the instances are done 9th August 2013. So we'll have additional $$ views, which will give us information about all the instances which are part of the cluster. And if I do show parameter, undo TBS1 here, right? If I go on to node 2, okay. You can see different undo table space here. So for node 1, you have one undo table space undo TBS1, and for node 2, we have another undo table space. So as I said, we'll have undo table space for each and every node in the cluster. And if you look at the redo log files, select group number, thread number, members from video log. You'll have two threads here. So two groups belongs to first node and two groups belong to the second node. So I'll wind up the class. I'll continue tomorrow. I'll send you an email with the timings for tomorrow's class, okay? In the meanwhile, if you have 8 GB RAM, try to set up. Yeah. Okay then. Bye. Good night.